see. Hello, hello. Can you guys hear us? Can you speak as well?
It's
So in
Are
the
we live?
recent couple
Okay.
of lives that I had, the um, volume was different for me and the other person. So I wanna make sure that we have the same volume before we start. So how you guys? What are you guys thinking? What are you guys saying? It's gonna take us a moment till they actually respond because there is a delay. Wait, what? Oh, let's talk about the azan as the other one. Like, what is azan?
Suddenly,
Wait,
what happened?
I'm hearing myself. Oh yeah.
Okay.
What is azan doing? Can you tell us about the azan? The beautiful melody that we just heard blasting in our ears from all sides for like 5 minutes.
Hmm. Okay. So you want to hear about Azan here?
No, no, I mean just like tell the setup that you're enjoying.
Uh,
Also, I
okay.
love the
This one.
flag you have in the background.
Yeah. You never know how much effort I took to get it.
Do
Like,
tell, do tell.
so we have a lot of Indians working in Israel. So I was having some of them as friends over there. So I through them I procured two flags on each of my sites here. You can see that. So they brought me here. Yeah, and
So, are
yeah,
there more now? Or is it after the war that because I know that once, like, we
just
had,
maybe two weeks or so.
mm, I just went to Tel Aviv and there was a delegation from
Hmm.
some people
India.
that looked clearly Indian, but from
Oh,
South
okay.
India, not like
Uh-huh.
you, not white like you.
Oh,
Like, and
Indians, it's mixed in their complexion. Like we have all sort of people here,
yeah.
so it varies greatly.
It's amazing. Like
Yeah.
they are. You can say they're almost black. The ones that I saw in Tel Aviv, like they were
Hmm.
important people. They were clearly led by someone who was like
Hmm.
it was sort of a
Okay.
delegation or something. They looked important. It's
Okay.
just that we were talking about it. We were just like we can say it's Indians because their skin tone, not like
Hmm.
they were really really dark, like black
Hmm.
almost, but their skin tone is so different than what you see in Africa.
Oh,
Right? It's
okay.
like a completely different color. You know what
Oh,
I'm saying?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's like no comment. That's it. So, okay. So that was a fascinating convo. This is okay. So actually, I also have some talking points. So
Sure.
on Monday, I spoke to Monday. Was it Monday? Yes, Monday. I spoke to someone who we talked about the Hindu identity
Mm.
when it comes to India. Now I want to hear your perspective as an ex-Muslim because
Okay.
he also grew up as a communist, but he comes from a Hindu background, so he
Okay.
went back to understanding it in that way. So I kind of wanted to know what like unifies India because it's so vast and diverse and things like that. This is one, so I want to hear your perspective as well. Second
Okay.
thing is that my best friend, that I was at her house yesterday for the holiday, she's married to a Hindu guy.
Okay.
From he is from the border. He's from next to Kashmir.
Oh, okay.
So he has a very particular sort of view towards a certain kind of demographic, if you get in the gist.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
he also, watching my videos on India, and like he had his own comments about the problems in India that I also would like to address with you as well, but in the future too. And
Okay.
the third is that I wanted to tell you something, but I'm gonna do it in the end of the video because I just thought it's just
Okay.
unrelated.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, thank you so much for having me
And
on
yeah, and
this.
I didn't even introduce you or anything. Guys, this is Arif. He's amazing. Like he's
Okay. I think it's our third interview, two on
I
my
think
channel and
so.
first our
Yeah.
on your channel. So maybe most of
Wait.
our viewers might be familiar with this.
I think we had this is the third in my channel,
Y-
right?
y- on your channel, it's for the first time, and
No, you have been here for sure.
uh, on your channel, it's for the first time. I think the two interviews were on my channel, so we had two on my channel.
And then we
Okay.
streamed them on both platforms, I think, or something,
Ah,
right?
yeah, yeah. It was like
Okay,
that.
so I have because I think I have three with you.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So we are friends
So,
now. We can like skip the formalities, jump right in.
oh, great. Yeah. Yeah, we can even save time with that. Like we have very important things to discuss about, so it's very good that we can skip the formalities. And first of all, coming to the ex-Muslim side and the Muslim side first, um, I can tell you something differently. Like I was thinking yesterday, why some of the ex-Muslims in my place were thinking so differently, or they even oppose my stance over supporting Israel over my back, is even because of the same reason. Because the kind of equivocation that they make to compare Israel with Hamas, and the argument for proportionality while giving back what they received on October 7th. So these are the arguments which I find so ridiculous and so much illogical. And just because of that, decided to talk on that and to make a statement, uh, uh, a kind of there's no doubt in doing that, and to stop any further questions over that. That's the reason, simply why I kept this flag. And that's for a reason. That's what I was about to tell you. So I was thinking yesterday, why I was having this kind of a thought process, like something different from them. And the reason which I came across is that the growth of Islam and the influence of Muslims as a community over the communities in India, you can find a great difference, or you can find some similarities with some great difference. First, I will tell you about the difference. The difference is because in India, we have a huge population of Hindu believers or Hinduism following people, though we don't have a single religion called Hinduism. There's no such a religion called Hinduism. It's a group of belief systems, a group of deities, a group of caste variations and other things, and they all was grouped under the name of Hindu religion for the convenience purpose by the British first, during the period of our reign, which was under them before 1947. So when the people in India was grouped as Muslims, when they were grouped as Christians, and then it was left over a group of people, a huge number of people, which were not having a particular religion, and they were simply called as Hindus. That's what happened. And the peculiarity of that group of people is that since they are not following a particular book, they are not following a monotheistic religion, and they are not following any single prophet or someone like that. The best feature in them was that they are inclusive, or they are still inclusive. So that's the reason I say it in the present tense. They were inclusive and they are inclusive even now. And I think they will be inclusive in the future too. But when it comes to Islam, particularly the religion in which I was born, my family, they were closely aligning with the Hindu kind of belief systems and all, because my parents, they were living in a region which was not much exposed to Islam. So if you
Mm.
look back and look at the images of my parents, like my mother and my grandmother and all, you wouldn't find them as Muslims. Their dress, nature, everything was so different, or it will be much like the Hindus how they wear it. Even I still remember in my childhood and all, at my mother's home, we call it. There in the evening, when the azan call comes on, like it's not heard for that reason, because we didn't have much masjids over there. But still, when the sun sets, that is the time when the Hindus light up the homes. They will place a little lamp uh, in the courtyard in the front of the home itself, and they have some plants like tulsi plants, which they consider as something sacred, and they just go there and do some prayers and all.
Is there
Similar
where
to
the
that,
Hindus is the Hindus gonna
yeah, yeah.
hide behind those trees? Is that the plan?
No, no, no. They just see it as is as something sacred, a part of their belief. Okay, tulsi. That's the or basil plant. That's what we call it in English. So that's something sacred for them. And it's not like the garkat which you plant to hide from the Muslims.
We have them
That's not the,
everywhere. No?
yeah, yeah. So you know the history now about this garkat and all. This is a very tiny plant. Okay, it doesn't grow like a tree.
But
So
like Hindus are
s-
like Indian, like they're smaller, so they can hide behind. No?
no, so it's not like that. Okay, so what happened was, just like that, when the sun sets, my home, we had a lamp which my grandmother, they takes it out, light it up, they keep it outside, thinking that this is something required in even in Islam, to show the belief or to show the
Mm.
spirituality in them. That's how they were doing it. And I don't know, much of the Muslims may remember something that similar to this, that might they might have done it. So this is the way that I was living a life in my past, in my childhood. My mother and my grandmother, they were all living in. So this was the kind of Islam which we were having. Later on, when we had to migrate to some other parts of the state for different reasons, like for job reasons and all, we started getting exposed to the real Islam, which was imported
Mm.
from the Middle East due to um the expatriate population we had in our state who were working in the Middle East, due to this what do you say, the petrodollars that was supplying much of the income to the state from that region. And for the
Mm-hmm.
same reason, much of the people in that northern part of our state was working in the Middle East. So they were importing even the culture, the Arabic culture, from that place to the my state. And my mother and my family, they were getting exposed to that. So when I was around 10 years or maybe 11 years old, my life started changing, getting exposed to the real Islam. So in the beginning, it was an Indian version of Islam that I was exposed to, Hinduized or Hindu religion similar to that, an Islam similar to that. And from then on, another version of Islam, which was so much in its purest form, something similar to what it is observed in its birthplace, that is in Saudi Arabia, or it is in how it is in the UAE and all.
Mm-hmm.
That was a huge difference, because when that started getting into our thought process, the next thing that we started calling was what my mother was doing in the past, what my grandmother was doing, was all shirk. That's what we call it. Okay, it's not to be done. One is that is shirk, and the second one is that is bidat. That's what we call it. Bidat, in the sense, it is something new that was attributed to the religion, and you are not supposed to do that because there's no model to do that in Islam. It is not
Mm-hmm.
as done as per the religious belief. It's not done as per the Sunnah, or there's no prophetic model for that. So that was the reason. And you won't believe, I was the person who was first opposing all these things by learning all this Islam, because I started learning the real Islam from my madrasa in my school. So from that point onwards, I started becoming a real Muslim.
How did your mother and grandmother that had the tulsi trees in their backyards, how did they
Mm.
react learning what the real
My
Islam is like?
Yeah, my mother, fortunately, she died by that time because she was almost 90s by that time. So grandmother died by that time. So she's safe now. I would say she experienced very less with all these things. Otherwise, she should have suffered a lot with all these things, because just you can imagine how a person will suffer with all these new versions of Islam, a lot of restrictions and other things, and a woman is not let to go outside and do all these things. So in my grandmother, when she was 90 and 90 plus, she was a devout Muslim. She was having all these kind of bidat and all these kind of shirk and other things, but she looked like a Muslim woman in her last, in her later period. But still she was so much observing the Islamic rituals and other things, and the way that she died by that time
Hmm.
with the old age related diseases. But my mother, she started changing onto the parda, the niqab, the new kind of that hijabi kind of dress items and all. I don't call it as a dress, but still, for understanding purpose, we can say it as a piece of cloth at least. Now, even now, my mother wears all these things, like that kind of hijab and those things. So that kind of a transition was so much obvious in my family. So everything,
And she just
the
accepted that new version of Islam that was different from the
no,
one.
no,
Okay.
in the beginning, that was not the case. She was opposing me, like, why do you want to be so toxic with this religion? Why do you want to take it too much? You are so much obsessed with religion. Don't do that. Like, I was so much obsessed with this shirk and bidat, because these are the two things which we were taught in the Salafi version of Islam. Salafism, we call it. So Salafi Dawah influence. So this is what I was exposed to from my school, madrasa, and from outside and other places. So that makes us a little bit arrogant and a little bit, what do you say? We always have carry a smug face over these these what do you say, kafir Muslims, or the impure Muslims. Okay, they're like, they do all this shirk, they all do all this bidat, and still they call themselves as Muslims. And we used to call them as kafirs, because doing shirk, doing bidat, you are outside the religion. You need to recite the kalima and you need to come back again. That's what I was always having in my mind. So by this, in my family, the most heard argument was that you are going too much, you are going too far in this religion, you need to come back, this is too much. This was the main complaint against me. And later what happened was, I went too much into that, I studied and I went with my college life, and after the marriage and other places and all, finally I just left the religion. So this is the reason why I always say that if you study Islam, there's only two options. One option is that either you will just become a suicide bomber, you'll just burst out. The first option is that, and the second option is that you will become an ex-Muslim. There's nothing in the between. If
I
you say that you are
understand.
in between, that means you have not learned Islam properly. So that's the reason why you still you call yourself as a Muslim, but you don't know about Islam. Like, if you ask about any of the rules and regulations which the ISIS follows, you will say that no, that's not, ISIS is not Islam, ISIS is not Muslims, Al Qaeda is not Islam, Osama bin Laden is not the true Muslim. These were the arguments that we make. But the reality is that if you ask them back, like, okay, you point out at least one thing the Taliban do which is un-Islamic, they won't be able to find a single instance where Taliban is un-Islamic.
Yeah.
So this open challenge is still there. So if anyone wishes to come forward with any of the instances where Taliban or ISIS or Al Qaeda or even Osama bin Laden or Baghdadi, many people are there who are doing something and it is not Islamic, please let me know. I'm still searching for that. So, um, so by realizing this, after while just before leaving the religion, this was the triggering point that I started learning. Okay, when people say that ISIS is the real Islam, there is something in it. It's not just the critics are making a blank statement over Islam and trying to uh, disregard Islam or to make it look like something faulty. That's not what they are doing. They are having some point. They have a point in it. That's the reason why they are saying it. And the incident of the uh, Easter Day bombing in Sri Lanka, the ISIS bombing, that was the
I
instance which really caught me, and decided to look seriously into this scripture and look at the way this ISIS is doing things and how they are using Islam as a reason for doing all this. And I was literally shocked to learn that what ISIS was doing as part of their suicide bombing and other things was real Islam that was asked to do in Islam. So since I am not doing it just because I didn't know that, so if I know that, I'm supposed to do that because jihad is a farl or something that is you are obliged to do that. And if you are not doing that, that means you are just ignorant about such rules in Islam and you are just avoiding such a thing, something that is asked to do. Yeah. Okay.
So, okay. How did you feel about the treatment of women in the Islam that you learned? Like, was your instinct, your instinctive, like, gut reaction to it,
uh, to what?
to how women are treated in Islam specifically?
Ah, being a Muslim, I never thought or I never believed in what you call as a feminism.
Mm-hmm.
That's the because being a Muslim itself is a or being a man itself is a privilege in this world. Okay, and being a Muslim man, that is a, I would say, a 10 times privilege that
Mm-hmm.
you get as a man and as an Islamic or a Muslim man. So that privilege that you enjoy a lot. Okay, and how I used all this privilege means, um, though I had a problem with using this, like you are forcing too much on your wife or you are arguing too much with your female friends, you are fighting with your mother and other people just because they are females, and thinking that they are the lesser beings, like just as it is mentioned in the Quran or in the hadith. It's like the intelligence of man is twice as that of a woman. So what does that mean? You are more intelligent than your mother, you are more intelligent than your wife, you are more intelligent than your sister. So it's always giving us a chance, giving me a chance to fight with them, to correct them, to hit them, to do whatever things that you want. So uh, that was giving you an extra amount of power to
Did
win
you
in any instance of. Yeah.
did you ever think or consider that you might
Hmm.
be in a situation where your sister, your mother, your wife would not love you?
Love me.
They wouldn't love you, yeah. I mean, that's a natural
uh,
reaction to that kind of mentality, unfortunately,
I
isn't
never,
it?
I never thought of that kind of a reaction from them when I left the religion, until I decided to leave it.
I mean, and like during, right? If you believe you're so much better,
Mm.
was it never like a fear that that you want, like that you will lose their love, that they will love you less?
I never thought that way. Like, it's like we live in a country like India where we have this freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and all other things. So, what I believed was, okay, if you find something as um, some a belief which is not viable, which is against your scientific temper and other things, and you have the freedom to choose wisely, and you have done it all throughout your life, and when it comes to the religion, you can just go forward with the same kind of action that you took before. Because for me, before leaving this religion, something happened to me was the way I looked at homeopathy. That's the profession that I was in. And homeopathy was a pseudoscience, is a pseudoscience, and I realized that, and I just decided to quit that.
Yeah.
So the reason behind that was I applied the scientific timbre into homeopathy, and that's the reason why I could realize, okay, homeopathy is pseudoscience. So
Yeah,
after
but
this,
uh,
it comes to the religion. So for me, it was just a repetition of something that I did in the past.
yeah, but what I meant is not that because you left Islam, but because of Islam that the woman in your life will not love you, not because you left it, but
Oh,
because
okay.
you believe in your being twice as smart as they are.
No, no. Uh, it was not, the case was not like that. Never. They always loved me, and I loved them.
Hmm.
And the problem is that love is that we love each other not just because of the bond between us as humans or as the blood relations, but also a tint of religion was also there. So it was kind of what do you say, a religious obligation to love them. Okay, so you are supposed to love each other even if you have some problems
Is
within
there
you.
is that like an obligation in religion?
Yeah, it's a kind of an obligation, and you can see that most of the Muslims say, I look after my father, I look after my mother, just because it's a religious obligation.
Hmm.
So it's a wonder for me to think that way now, because even if I'm not a believer, even if there is no religion for me, I love my parents, like I love them, looking after them. But when they are not doing the same thing to us, or when they are expressing a hatred towards us just because we renounce the religion, it's getting difficult for us to be with them. So that's the only problem. But
So you
within the
did
religion,
feel that for living Islam,
yeah,
but not
definitely.
when you were in Islam.
Yes, that's it.
Okay, so because this is interesting to me, because in a way you are a first generation Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
If you correct me if I'm wrong, because
uh,
I know what a multiple generation Islam does
mhm.
to the family.
Okay,
But you are in a way a first generation Muslim.
I would say I'm the second generation.
Second.
Yeah, the first generation of Muslims in our place was just like the Hindus. They were so much inclusive. They were not much into this haram, halal, not obsessed with this halal food items. They were not obsessed with just engaging in their own celebrations. They used to celebrate all the festivals in our place, like even the festivals of Hindus we used to celebrate. Even in my childhood, we used to celebrate that. But now, if you look at the Muslims, how they are trying to, or I don't say that they are doing that or they are following that, but if you look at them, you can see a wave of religious teachings going on among them, to not to celebrate that. So when it comes to Onam, that's one of our favorite, or one of our most common celebration in our place. It is even now called as a Hindu festival. In fact, it is called as the festival of our state. It's not a Hindu festival.
Mm.
It's the festival of our state. Okay. But now it is being promoted us, or it is now reminded us, a Hindu festival. Just imagine. So when it comes to Christmas, you're not supposed to celebrate that. The Muslims are told to stay away from Christmas.
Is
But
it
this was not the
because
case in.
you moved a state that you were suddenly exposed, like your parents, and then you exposed to the real
No, no,
Islam?
no.
Is
This is now
something
everywhere.
changed? What?
This is everywhere.
How did it happen?
In my state, or in this part of our country, this was the region in our country, the whole of, when you take the whole of India, which was most exposed to the Middle East. So the direct entry point for this Salafi Islam, the that kind of an Islamic extremist influence,
How
or
did they
the
enter?
Puritan form of, because a
Who
lot of
were the
people,
first
they,
ones that believed in
because,
it?
yeah, the people who are working in the Middle East, expatriates. So they went
Mm.
to the GCC countries, mostly Saudi Arabia, then UAE, then Qatar, all these places. Most of them were into Saudi Arabia. So when they go there, when they come back, they bring the Islam in their baggage. They carry
Why?
all the hijab. Yeah.
What do you think motivated them to start propagating it into Indian Muslim society?
uh, in the beginning, it was not a kind of voluntary propagation or something that was intentionally done. It was something that was done unintentionally, like they were just copying the culture. Okay, so when I'm a Muslim, an ignorant Muslim, okay, and I'm living in India, and I got a chance to get exposed to the real Islam which was going on in the Middle East, in the Arabic countries. When I go there, what I would feel, you can imagine, I will just try to be one among them. Like, I'm
Mm.
also Muslim, they are also Muslim, and I have come to a place where Islam was born, like Saudi Arabia. So what I would do, I'll just try to be one like them. So I'll copy their dress, I'll copy their even including their language. So more and more Arabic will come into our common usages, like we always say inshallah, we always say mashallah, just like that. So an obsession with including this language, and then an obsession with the dress code, too much into this hijab for the females.
Do
And
you think
e- yeah, so
there? I
that's how
think
it
there's. I'm sorry. Yeah, I
yeah,
just
that's
wonder.
how
Do
it
you
comes
think
in.
there was also a money flow?
Of course. So they were going for their work into the
But
Middle
I
East, just
meant
like people.
like when it comes to
Hmm.
uh, teaching like the proper Islam in
Religion.
India, religion.
Yeah,
Was there? Who
it was
was
funded.
backing them? Who was
It was
funding
funded.
them? By whom?
Mostly it was Saudi Arabia, it was mostly Qatar. These were the
Oh,
two
they
notorious
were.
countries. Yeah,
And what's
mostly
their
Saudi Arabia.
interest? What's their interest in India?
Their interest is da'wah. Their interest is da'wah.
Purely religious, do you think?
Purely religious. It was their intention to spread the religion, the pure form of religion, and for that they were having much of their funds to be spent in our country to spread religion. So we even I was part of a masjid in my place where not as an official body, but a few of our friends were working in that, and so I could get a first-hand exposure to how this masjid was funded by some of the bodies in the Middle East. So they will build a masjid in our place, and they will take the pictures and they will send it to their officials in the Middle East. So they will look at it and confirm the progress of the masjid getting built up, and they will just send the money. And this was going on. But now, once our the new regulations came in by the new government and all, now it is much controlled. It's not done that way. So that kind of a kind of outside funding for such religious activities, it is now strictly monitored, and it's not that an easy game for these kind of people to do that. So funding, that's a big issue, and it was done in the past, and that's one reason. So for a particular, a specific incident, if you want, the propagation of hijab, that was one instance which you can take as an example, where it was purely funded by the Saudi government, Saudi bodies, not the real government, but some of the universities there. So they were even paying some of the officials here in our place just to popularize hijab. So
Okay,
you can
so this
imagine.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, here's something that I've heard from my
Hmm.
Hindu friend that is living
Hmm.
here. That they would also pay for people to vote for them in
Hmm.
elections, and that there are lines now outside the parties that are supposed to
Office.
offices like with people who are waiting for to collect their money for voting for them. Is that
uh,
like,
in this election, the recent election, right?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, something happened similar to that, but I haven't reported that much, but I have seen news reports on that.
Yeah.
So it's like they offered a kind of a stipend or a kind of support, but the problem was they mistook that if they vote, I think it was actually said that if they were
Mm.
elected to power, they will give it. So they
Oh.
were not into power. They just voted and they won, but they were not into the power. The power was went to the other group. So these
Mhm.
people mistook that for vote. So I think that's the a miscommunication among them. So I think next time when they try, they need to be pretty clear about what they say. Just like giving some offers, they have to be very much clear about that.
Okay, so one result that you stated that happened due to the intervention of Saudi Arabia in the Indian education system when it comes to Islam is the propagation of hijab. What are the other side effects that happen once this,
Apart from the propagation of religion.
apart from hijab?
Uh,
Like, were
okay.
the, I would say, what were the side effects of propagation of Islam into the Muslim community in
Yeah.
India?
The most notorious aspect was this hijab itself. Okay, because that directly affects the Muslim women. So that
Mm-hmm.
was I place that as the priority issue. So that a propagation of hijab in our place. And the second thing is the madrasas which was funded. So most of them were getting enough money for such activities, and it was not just like a madrasa or an institutionalized kind way of teaching religion, but through the masjids there were enough fund were provided to fund this da'wah activities. So this da'wah activity means it's an organized way of propagation of religion. They hold huge meetings, huge gatherings, conferences, and smaller events. So all these events were pretty much funded, and even they were getting enough money for um, making all the arrangements like the media setup and other things, the multimedia things. So if you look at the way they were handling this dawa activity, that was highly sophisticated with all the future proof tools, like the most um, what do you say, the best mic, the best camera, the best graphics, and everything. So it was so much catchy. And if any kind of technology comes in, like when the CD came in, these people were the first to utilize the CD system,
Mm.
that or the DVD system, to
Wow.
propagate the religion, hold the meetings, record it, uh, put it into the CDs. They sell it, they supply it freely through the masjids and all the places. And even I was having a huge collection of these CDs. Zakir Naik, Yusuf Estes, and all these people. So these were my favorite international guys, and we had some local guys like Imam Akbar, Mujahid Balisheri, and all. And this Mujahid Balisheri, I know him personally, and during my college days, I used to visit a masjid here, and this person, Mujahid Balisheri, that's the name of that preacher, a notorious preacher, and he was the person who was giving the Friday sermon over there. So I had a personal connection with him. So whenever I had some kind of a doubt in Islam, a fatwa kind of, I just approached him. So I asked him, okay. So I still remember I went to this medical college for studying homeopathy. So we had dissections. So we need to handle these dead bodies and dissect the bodies while
In
learning
homeopathy?
yeah, yeah. So in anatomy we had that. So
Really? You saw bodies on in a homeopathy?
yeah, the academics are pretty similar, apart from the
No,
medicine
that's high
part.
level of deception. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Like they
It's like
worked hard
you're,
to deceive you.
yes, that's it.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's all about 5.5 years of study that you wasted. That's what I always feel, the time
Oh my
wasted. But
God.
I don't say it that way because I could realize it pretty much earlier or so. I'm still young to find another job and do or lead my life that way. So I didn't I don't say that as a something that I wasted, because I could escape from it much earlier. Anyway, so during this time, um, on Friday morning, the first hour we had this dissection. So after dissection, you are handling a dead body. So the rule in Islam is that if you touch a dead body, you have to take a bath and you have to
I know it's from
freshen yourself.
Judaism.
That's the rule. Yeah. So, but in the college, it's not possible that you are handling a dead body in the morning, you are sitting in the class, and in the afternoon you are going for the Friday sermon, the masjid. So it was like I was having a kind of OCD. How can I do this? So my prayers are not going to be accepted this way if you're doing this way, like you're touching the dead bodies. So I asked him, dear mullah, please help me, I'm having this problem, give me a fatwa please. I need a fatwa. So he helped me out. He told me this way, like, you are a student, you are learning something, and you use a lot of instruments for your study. You use a pen, you use a scale, you use a lot of things, you use books. This dead body is another instrument, you just see it that way. So no need of getting obsessed about a dead body, and you miss your prayer. So, and Allah knows the best, that's the last word. So since this person gave me this answer, I was like, okay, that's fine, now I'm happy, I got the required fatwa, and I was saved from my losing my prayers in the Friday. And it went that way. So you can imagine how close we were, having some kind of attachment with these people. Like, it's not just about that a particular person, each and every one of the Muslim, if they need such a support, it is available here through the masjids, through the madrasas. So you have a Muslim expert or Islamic expert at your handy. It was so much handy for you. So how all this happened? They were all huge number of experts, or the mullahs, or the priesthood in Islam. It was well laid. It was well available in all the masjids and madrasas, and especially when it comes to the Salafi system, it was much funded with this external money, this petrodollars. So that gave us a chance for this exposure. And this same exposure to this extreme forms of Islam is the reason why we saw the huge number of um, the recruitments which happened to ISIS from our state. If you take the whole of India, the the most number of recruitments that happened in our country is from my state. So, and the reason is the exposure to Islam. And
What
it's not
was
like they, yeah, it's not like they are all what do you say, downtrodden, poverty stricken families or not. It's not like that. They were engineers, they were doctors, just like Osama bin Laden was an engineer. Ayman al-Zawahiri was a surgeon. Zakir Naik was a doctor. Then you have this Baghdadi, he's a PhD scholar. Muhammad Atta was some kind of a researcher. So you take any famous terrorist, they're all well educated, they're all well laid professionals, but still they chose to become a terrorist. Why? It's because of their software. Like, they were their focus was not on the job or on the profession, it was all over the huris. That's the problem. Okay.
Yeah, to me, I mean, okay, I'm gonna tell you in the end because it's a video I want to do, but I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
spoil it for anyone that's here about the theme.
Okay.
So, because there is a missing link that a lot of people miss, I
Uh,
see a lot of experts. There is this
mm,
disadvantage when there are too much men and they miss something important. But
mhm.
here's what I want to ask. What was the reaction when your neighbors noticed that suddenly everybody is flooding to ISIS to help them? What was, because there was this change in India. I guess were there probably more terrorist attacks in India as well, right?
Mhm.
Or not? Was it not the result? Was there an increase or no?
Increase in
What do you
what?
think in terrorist attacks in India?
Terrorist attacks, mostly we have most of them in the Kashmir region mostly, and
Hmm.
that's because of the insurgency activities in the Pok region from the Pakistan side, from the terrorists over there.
See.
And so that's the major problematic area where we see a lot of terrorist attacks over there. And we also had a few attacks in Mumbai, which comes to the middle of the country, and in some other places as well. And even when it comes to Kerala, we don't have much of that kind of terrorist attacks, this kind of international terrorist attacks. That was not there. So, but still, uh, the persons who were recruited into these organizations, terrorist organizations, they were from our state. So I still remember a. Are we having a problem?
No, 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 no,
Okay.
no. Continue. I
Yeah.
just wanted to make sure. Okay.
Oh, okay. So there's a funny moment which I still remember. That is in 2021 when Taliban was taking the power over this Afghanis in from the U.S. system which was existing there. Uh, you, I don't know whether you have come across that video where people were prostrating over the road and they were rejoicing for the victory. The Talibanis, they were rejoicing in the streets and everywhere,
In India?
even among, no,
I'm
no,
sorry.
in Afghanistan,
In
in
Afghanistan.
Kabul.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Kabul. And in that crowd, in that commotion, in that what do you say, the voices which you hear over there, we were able to listen to Malayalam, the language from my place.
Okay.
Okay, so they were like, we were like, oh, so we already have a meme which says that even if you go to the moon or you go to the Mars, you will find a Mallu over there. That's what we say. So Malayalis are everywhere. Even in the flag that I have in my back is from a Malayali. So you go to any part of the world, you will find a Malayali. That means the person's from my state who speaks Malayalam as a language. So just like that, even in Kabul, among the Talibanis, we had Mallus over there. We call like that. So just imagine how much influence these kind of religious extremism and this their aim of getting into the real Islam, that is really affecting us. And the reason is the exposure. And why I do all this ex-Muslim activism like this so much explicitly, and the reason is that it's a kind of desensitization that I'm focused to let them know the other versions, the opposing views, so that they get a chance to learn the other part, which most of the dawa guys, they will just hide them, because they always try to market the positive sides. Islam is beautiful, Islam is feminist, Islam is pro women, Islam is pro child, everything pro. So in those moments we just give out the opposing versions, like Islam is not pro women, it is misogynistic. Islam is not child friendly. Islam does all these kind of circumcision and all these things. So
Mm-hmm.
it's against child rights, and a lot of other reasons, like even when it comes to the civil laws in which affects us, you are not you wouldn't get the equal rights in your property, and many other problems like that.
Yeah, of
So
course.
we give out all these things. Yeah.
Did you genuinely believe that you are twice as smart as a woman?
Sorry.
Did you genuinely believe you are twice as smart as any woman that you meet?
Definitely.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
That's incredible to me. Like,
If we can believe in huris, why wouldn't I believe in this statement?
because I don't know, you can see women study, you can see women who
But
outdo
yeah, but
outdo you, you
yeah,
can see
though
women who out argue you. Like,
of course I'm saying that the answer to your question is I believed, but the problem was it has a second part to that, because I was always having a cognitive dissonance over that, because I'm seeing
okay.
the same thing. A lot of people, even my mother was highly educated.
Mm-hmm.
She was a the principal of a school. So when one side, when I say or when I hear that women are less intelligent than a man, and the other other side I'm seeing even my mother and my sister was a topper in her school.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now just imagine. So I was having this thought, okay, if they are less intelligent, how come all these are happening? Any problem?
No, no. I just
Okay.
uh yeah. I mean, yes,
Yeah.
but no, I told you that my computer, I know that it dies down after some time. So I'm trying
Oh,
to take off, I just stopped some
it's okay.
programs from running because I didn't want it to like affect the computer. That's it. That's all that I did. Because
Oh,
that's why it's like, is there a
if you are
problem? I'm like,
if
no, because I'm
if you are too
listening.
much
I just made sure to, you know. cut off
Ah,
some
okay. If you're
programs.
too much serious into this YouTubing and other things, it's better that you have a gaming laptop or a gaming computer, so that
Yeah,
can,
like one
yeah,
step at
handle
a
all this.
time.
Ah, yeah, that's
One
enough.
step
But
at a time.
you
Yeah.
you must find an investment because it's worth it.
Yeah,
So even in the
100%. Yeah.
beginning, yeah, even in the beginning, I was not able to buy a computer like this. So I loaned it from some one of my friend, and I bought a computer. And now I'm planning to buy a new one, like upgrading. So it
That's
happens.
smart. Okay, I'll
Yeah,
talk about it after we end the live because I'm gonna ask you
done.
because if you because you know what I'm talking about, right? Like the
Yeah, yeah,
equipment
sure.
is a thing.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
I
Okay.
got it.
Okay.
I got it, and that
Yeah.
happens. No
So
problem.
so so I love it. Is it there was this? Do you believe what you're being told, or do you believe what you're seeing? This is how you're
Ah,
like.
yeah, that's the cognitive dissonance phase we all have, and I was having that from very beginning, even as a child. So one side, learning something in the religion, including the scientific aspects, like we learn the Earth is we have the solar system, planets, and other things, and at the same time we learn about the flat Earth and other things. So I still remember I used to ask my madrasa teacher, like, where exactly is the hell, where exactly is the heaven? If you say
Mhm.
that it is under the earth, so can we look at the hell by drilling deep into the earth? So I still remember I asked my madrasa teacher, and he was like, shut up, you are too much.
Don't ask questions.
Yeah, next question please.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, if women are
So
stupid, why can my sister do math? Like this kind of, I understand. Yeah,
yeah, that's a
that's
problem.
interesting. So how, what was, did you try to reason it in your head or were you like,
uh, See, as a believer, we never reason it out because that's a sin.
never?
So we have the
Mm,
prayer to escape from such thoughts, because that kind of thought is because of the shaitan, and we have the prayer for that. A'udhu billah. And if you recite it, you can just see it's vanishes. Okay, it's gone. So
oh,
now you are
I love
safe
that.
from the scientific, that kind of thought processes, and now you are fully into the religion. Okay, say for a minute or two, then again you might get some more thoughts like that, then again, now the billah. So you might have to say this repeatedly.
Yeah, interesting. I love it. Like to me, I never like I never bought into faith that much. So it's interesting
Mhm.
to me to understand how a
Oh,
somebody who believes
that's
in
that's worth it.
something, how it
you must
works.
you must at least live it once, how a life of a believer, believing in all these fancy things.
Yeah, like even as a
Then you will.
child, I was very like I was like I don't like I wasn't a
Okay.
kshat oref. Like I was like I don't believe it, and that's it. You're not gonna like like I was.
See, Rebecca, see, this is the simple reason why I told you in the beginning that the level of conviction that we have in whatever things that I'm saying, or we are trying to do as a part of this activism. Most of the people, especially ex-Muslims, they have seen um, a woman or a family which is affected by religion trying to escape from the clutches of religion. That's what they have seen. Okay, most of them have seen that. So in the organization we have, or in the close friend circles we have, if you talk about the Islam and the problems they face from Islam, this is the face that they have to say always. But I have seen a family which was irreligious and which was affected by religion, then now facing the problems with the religion and trying to get out of that. So it's two part for me. For them it is just one part. And now I realize why they are not able to see. So when they speak about this hijab, they always try to say it as a dress item, so it is a choice. Even some of the ex-Muslims say that it's a choice, it's a part of the dress. How come it comes as a part of a dress? No, it's a religious symbol, because my mother, my family in the past, they were not having such a dress item in their life. When they decided to become Muslim, the first
Mhm.
thing that was enforced over them is this hijab. And
One
now
sec, I
if you
wanna
ask,
say thank you for the contractor for Rebecca's gaming computer. Yes, I'll save up for a gaming computer. I very much need it
So
for
you'll
running
have to
those.
give me the
Thank you
commission
so much.
for the right moment
I'll give you a
suggestion.
shekel. Yeah. But
Okay.
here's a few more. I can't watch her in the Ashdale Regiment. Is thank you.
Please do
Also,
support.
yeah, like, subscribe with a bell, share, and give Rebecca your money. Thank you so much. I love my
I'll tell you something.
subscribers who remember that I forget.
Uh, I'll tell you something to the all the viewers who are supporting Rebecca. Whatever things that you find in my background, the mic, everything is just because of the support from the subscribers and the viewers.
Mm.
So it's huge. When you support us, you will get a chance to hear more from us. You will make us motivate to do this more and more, to stick on to this activism. So what we see here is people will just come do this work for some time and they will just vanish. You won't find these people after maybe 1 or 2 years. So if you wish to see Rebecca more and more, and if you wish to see Rebecca maybe even after 10 years, you need to support her. And that's why these donations and the like, the share, the comments, and all other things. So that will motivate her much.
Yay.
Appreciated that. Okay.
Thank you, Arif. Thank you for being my advocate. I love it. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I have so
I'm
many
an advocate
questions
for
for
all the
you
YouTubers, like activists.
because to me, okay, I see. Like, how did your neighbors reacted? Like, the non-Muslims ones reacted when they saw the Muslims' friends kind of leave and go to ISIS and stuff. Like, what was the reaction?
Yeah, that was the question you asked before as well. Um, uh, Living in a country like India where the majority are Hindus, uh, getting recruited into this ISIS, the extremist ideologies, that's the first part. And the second part is you are blowing up yourself, suicide bombing. You are
Right.
going into some sort of things like joining the ISIS and fighting for Taliban, for the ISIS in Iraq, Iran, sorry, Iraq, Syria. These are something new to them. Okay, especially for our neighbors.
I mean, if they were used to the kind of Muslims that you describe as your grandma was, then of course.
They were happy with them.
I mean, did it catch them by surprise, where it's like, okay, why till suddenly the
Yeah,
Muslims changed?
this is what I'm saying. The Hindus or the majority here, they can see the change among the people. So they used to say this. Even now when I say all these things on my channel, most of these Hindus, they are afraid of saying all this in the public, or placing it as a comment. They'll just send me personal messages like, Arif, I really wish to say this in the public, but I'm afraid. If I say this, they will see me as an enemy. So I just wanted to let you know that this is what happened to me. This is my personal experience. In the past, we were all one, but now when I give them a piece of a Christmas cake, they are not taking it. When now I call them for a celebrating a festival here, my festival, that's a Hindu festival, or maybe a non-Islamic festival, they are not accepting it. So that's the kind of a kind of frustration or a disappointment in them, which they are now trying to realize this is not because of the problem of the person, it's because of the religion. And this realization is so important because if that's not the case, the anti-Muslim bigotry will increase, or the Muslimophobia we call it. And now that is getting more and more visible, and since we, the ex-Muslims, try to explain things in this way, they are getting a chance to realize it's not the Muslims are the problem, it's the Islam is the problem. So now they are also forming a second team, or the B team of this movement, where they are taking up all the things that we say as part of the ex-Muslim activism, and they are the second line recommenders, or the second line of propagators of this ex-Muslim or these kind of versions of Islam. And they create a social pressure where the Muslims are given a chance to think twice or thrice or multiple times, so that they don't fall into the trap laid by these extremists. They escape from getting recruited into ISIS and other things. So that's the reason. So for my
It's
neighbors, it was disappointment that they were caught with. Yeah.
so when it comes to Kerala, so you said a lot of Muslims went to ISIS and joined there, but was there also local groups that wanted to take over, let's say, Kerala and like do things inside of India?
Definitely, we have our own ISIS, like ISIS India, which I call them as that way, but the real name is Popular Front, PFI, we call them. And that was the organization which was banned very recently, 1 or 2 years ago. And they were having a mission, and the mission that they named was Mission 2047. So that's the year 2047, the 100th year of our independence, Indian independence. So their aim was to convert India into a caliphate by 2047. And today it is 2024. So by 2047, they were making a plan, or they were executing a plan for this, for a khilafat in India. And they were having all sort of hit list making mechanisms, where they had a group of people identified to be killed. And they were all major
Mm.
Hindu leaders, the BJP leaders mostly. And they were planning to execute them. And they were also having a well laid plan of deception, a takia we can call, that was to use the icons of India, the flag, the constitution, the pioneers of our constitution like Ambedkar, and the downtrodden people here, that is the Dalits we call. All these people were just a means to their goal. They were all used for their purpose of converting India into a caliphate. And it was mentioned in this document. It was procured by the NIA, that is the investigation agency here, and they produced it in the court. And now they are facing the ban. So they were banned for 5 years, and now I'm hopeful that it will get extended. And this was the same group, PFI. They were the same group which executed some of the most heinous terrorist crimes, like chopping off the hands and legs of one of the professors here, just because of he was alleged to be have done some sort of blasphemy against Prophet Muhammad. So he was not beheaded, but his hands and legs were chopped off from opposite sides. The verse which was present in the Quran, enacted 533, we call it. So it was enacted. So who did this? The same organization. And in this document, it is mentioned their model was the ISIS, to copy how ISIS is doing things in Iraq and Syria. You can take relevant pieces of information from them, and you can use it for spreading PFI in India. So we have our own Desi ISIS.
That's amazing. I mean,
Yeah,
I want to have I have one more question about it, but Vignesh Kumar gave a 50 club memberships to my channel.
yeah.
Thank you so much. Welcome to all the new club members.
Thanks, Vignesh.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
supporting all these activists.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure. Okay, so how are they doing? How much of their plan is being like is successful now, do you think?
Um, the success of a plan, that depends upon the government.
Really?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
If the government was not strict enough to counter them, they could have succeeded with their plan. But fortunately, the government which was ruling, that is the BJP government that was having the power that time, and now they got re-elected. They took a stern stance against them, and they got
Mm-hmm.
banned. So now their plan is unsuccessful, to be honest.
So what do you think would be the result of them feeling frustrated that their plan is not working?
The difference.
Because like, oh, okay, this is the familiarity. There is the mindset. If we cannot
Mm,
do it, like first they try to do it by taking over quietly.
mm,
They get caught being that they have infiltrated the,
mm,
all the institutions, the schools like that. They have they get caught, they get stopped, and then usually they don't go like, oh, we got caught, let's go home and have tea. No, no. Usually it goes to,
mm.
if it doesn't go the nice way, then.
Okay.
So do you see that?
Um, no. Yeah, there's already an argument that even they got banned, they can organize into other organizations and they can execute the same plan. So this is the concern. But what I see here is that the government is so obsessed with this Islamic terrorism, and they are doing all the necessary steps to counter that. Okay. And it's like maybe in the next 10 or 15 years, what you may find is that you will find a, just like we have the police stations in every town, you will find terrorism uh, forces, or this anti-terrorism wing kind of forces, their offices, at least in every town in my state. So this is what is going to happen, because the present government has taken this as a very serious issue, and they are doing all what they can do to counter it. And that is the biggest relief that we are having, because you can look at the way the Europe is suffering today, how they are affected with this kind of religious outfits, which they are not even able to proscribe some of the organizations.
Mm.
So they are not able to do that at some point of time. but
So
but
what?
now they have come to a realization by the growth of the right wing and other things. But fortunately, here we already have a right wing in the power, so they know pretty well. And the only problem is that only the right wing is saying or doing this, and that's one of the accusations that they are facing, that they are anti-Islam, they are anti-Muslims. But they are just going forward with these kind of plans to counter the terrorism, because that's a real threat. And even yesterday, 2 days ago, we had a terrorist attack in Jammu. We lost 10 of the people who were traveling to visit a pilgrim site, Vaishno Devi temple. And almost 30 got 30 40, they got injured, and they are in the hospitals. So that was a terrorist attack that was done by a faction related to this Jaish-e-Mohammed, that was rampant in this area. So
Yeah.
terrorism is a serious problem, and we have much of that, and the government is so keen to control it. And even we are seeing a lot of steps taken against that. Okay,
Okay, so what do you think? So you do you feel like India woke up to the threat way earlier than Europe did? And if so, like
definitely.
what's it? Okay, so what's the difference? What do you think? What made India able to understand what's in front
Hmm.
of it that the Europeans like the tool? What were the tools I would say, or something that the Europeans didn't have that they couldn't understand what's going on?
Uh, See, you know the story of Shamima Begum that went into the news very recently. Shamima Begum was a child who was getting who got recruited to ISIS from UK, and
Hmm.
she was 15 or 17 when she was getting recruited, and now she got ripped off the citizenship in UK. So that was a big news. Okay, so this happened almost 5 or 10 years ago. Okay, so just imagine, you have this problem of recruitments happening into ISIS. Europe knew this. There are many instances of people getting recruited into ISIS and going there and doing all these nasty things. But still, Europe was not able to take action against the spread of extremist ideals and the Islam as a reason behind that and all. Europe was late in realizing that. But when it comes to India, we had the same problem of people getting recruited into ISIS. And it's not just from my state. There were around 200 people getting recruited from our country. And the state knew this, the country knew this. And we took the steps back in 2018 or so, 2016 or so, to counter this. And the anti-terrorism activities done by the government through the national bodies like the NIA, then ATS, and other ATS, other bodies are there to counter this terrorism. They they flung into action, and they are doing all what they can do in identifying the people, and uh, to neutralize every terrorist attempts and finding the culprits behind. So India is acting much better than what the West is in
But
countering this
why?
terrorism. because
Why?
we took it serious.
Why?
The Because already we are exposed the kind of terrorism that the world is facing in the Jammu Kashmir region, and we had a few of other incidents which happened in our place, like the parliament attack, the Mumbai attack, and other instances like that. Many people were killed in all these.
Mm.
So we had a hunch like this is going to get bigger, and the steps were taken. And it's not just by the present government. The NIA was constituted by the previous government, the opposition who are sitting now. So even then, they took the steps countering this terrorism, and now it is given more power to look into this, to identify this, and in a way, even I am helping these people by if I get a call, if I get some sort of a comment under my post, I can report to them.
Yeah.
And even I get calls from a few of the families from their child got converted to Islam, and now he's too much into this Islam and so strict, and he's problematic. So they
Mm.
call me, and I visit
That's
them.
amazing.
We talk to
Like I
them.
wanna, I wanna kind of write it down, so I can give it like instructions to
Yeah.
any like.
So if see, this is happening for real. That's what I'm saying. Like these people getting recruited to Islam or converted to Islam, they are slowly attracted towards the most extremist form of Islam. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So these families, they realize it, and when they find this, they contact. They are clueless about whom to contact. But now when they see ex-Muslims, and they can contact us, and I'm not saying that I'm seeing 1,000 of them every day or every week. At least once in a while, I'm getting a call, like Arif, my child is affected. He's now too much into Islam. We were a peaceful Hindu family, a peaceful Christian family. We are facing this. What to do next? So I talk to them. I take their details and I pass it on to the other people, like the officials here. So now, then onwards, they will carry forward the other activities in neutralizing those things and finding the real reasons behind, and who converted, and how much Islam is being fed into his brain, and where he is going forward. A lot of things. So that is a huge action, and I proudly say that at least two or three people were brought back to their parents, taken away
That's
from Islam. Yeah, so this happened. And why I'm able to do this is because to realize this is as a real problem, and this needs attention and intervention. By that early intervention, that gives us much hope in correcting this. Yeah.
mm-hmm. That like I mean that's incredible. I just want to say this like Vignesh Kumar gave another 50
Okay.
memberships. Thank you so much. Welcome to the all 101 new members, because apparently his own membership was in a separate. So he gave 100 memberships and joined himself. So welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you. Really, it's amazing.
Mm-mm.
And another one is Diabo del Fuego is asking, does what is the
Pinarayi Vijayan.
chair?
Yeah,
What
Pinarayi
is
Vijayan. That's the name of our chief minister.
chief minister?
Yeah.
What's chief minister?
Yeah. Chief minister means the minister of the state.
Okay, okay.
Prime minister,
Uh,
the chief minister of the country.
mhm.
Okay.
I always tell myself that I need to learn all those things in English at some point, like the
Pinarayi Vijayan cooperate with Modi government regarding anti-terror activities despite his vote banks. Need a discussion on Mopla massacre. Yeah, that's a very interesting question. Like uh, Kerala as a state has failed in realizing the Islamic terror. That's what I would say. But the central government has taken it as a very serious issue. And when the PFI was getting identified as a terrorist outfit and getting banned, their search operations happened in my state without informing the state, without informing the state police. And one
wow.
fine night, they all came down and they took all these culprits in just one go, and they flew back. That's what happened. Just like the IDF operates in in rescuing the hostages there. They
That's
just do it.
amazing.
Yeah, that's what they did.
That's
So they
incredible.
didn't even get a chance to know what is going to happen. Like it's all happened in a midnight.
Mm.
Before the dawn, they took each and every one of them. So
That
that's
is
the
so.
so why it was done like that, because that's the reason or the answer to this question. Because the cooperation, if you need to cooperate, if the state need to cooperate, the state need to realize this as a problem. For the Pinarayi Vijayan government, PFI or their political outfit called SDPI, they were never a problem for them. They were allies for them in some of their constituencies where their party was having some of the members shared from this SDPI or the PFI. So how come they take an action against them? So they were in close led relationship. They were closely wed people. So they will never choose to betray them. So that's one the answer to the first part. And the second part is regarding the Mopla massacre or the Malabar rebellion, how these leftist people call. They will never speak on that. And the official stance taken by them is something like it was the way that you call Hamas as a uh, what do you say, freedom fighters. It's the same way. The Malabar rebellion was something called as a freedom fight. In fact, it was not. It was a jihadi activity. It was a, a Hindu genocide that happened
How many?
in 1921.
19.
Thousands were killed. Thousands were killed. Thousands were displaced, and a lot of problems were there. And even a state was established, which was a caliphate, and they were having even their own taxing system, like the jizya. All these were there. But soon the British intervened, and that was neutralized, and they took it back, and now we are safe.
I
Otherwise,
said
just
it.
imagine. Yeah.
I said it that the Brits, with all their faults, they had been intervening with a lot of potential massacres in the Middle East once they took over.
Hmm.
Unlike the Turks that perpetuated them. It's
Yeah.
the Jews, Assyrians, the butchering inside them during the World War II, during the Holocaust. The Jews in Arab lands would have been completely massacred, I think, if it wasn't also for. I mean, they didn't try too hard to protect, for example, what happened in Darfur, but they did do more than nothing. So, at least that. Which is the most I can say about the Brits. I have nothing. Like, I mean,
It's
there is
interesting
a.
to
Yeah.
it's interesting to learn about this 1921 Mapla massacre. So if you are interested, you can read about that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like the more I dive into India, the more I feel like, okay, there is so much common experience that I feel like Jews were looking for anyone that would understand what we are going through. And
See,
now, like, more and more understand, like, wait, the Hindus get it, like, basically,
easily.
like, and they're in a similar situation to what we are at, right? Like,
This exactly is the reason why, when you asked why India is faring better in dealing with this Islamic extremism than the West, than the Europe, because we already faced this in the past. For
yeah,
this, we are facing for the second time. In fact, okay, that's one of the reasons. Like the second reason that I can give you, we are facing this for the second time. When you come to Kashmir, we already had the Hindu genocide happening there. The Kashmiri Pandits were expelled, the ethnic cleansing that happened over there. So that happened because of or by the hands of these Islamic extremists over there. So you can imagine, even the neighbors who were living peacefully, coexisting peacefully, on one fine morning they turn hostile towards their neighbor who is a Kashmiri Pandit, and they are asked to move out of their home, and they
yeah,
are
you can
either.
exchange eggs in the
Yeah.
morning and like eggs and milk in the morning and be like hosting each other. In
This
the evening, they
Yeah.
come and loot your house and rape
So for
your
India,
daughters.
this has occurred once. So we know this, what it is. So to avoid that for the second time, uh, that's the only thing that we are doing. And for the West, they are not exposed to such a thing. So that's one of
Yeah.
the or I would say the reason. why we are able to do this in this manner. And I'm sure that this is going to work, and this will make India a far better place, a safe place for, especially for the Muslims. That's what I'm saying. If you go into the future, maybe 10 or 15 years into the future, you will find India as the most safest and most beautiful place for the Muslims to live, and the most happy Muslims living in this planet will be in India. That's what I'm saying,
And
because
in
they
Israel,
can.
let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's the two
True.
places.
True. That's not a joke. That's the reality.
It's reality.
Yeah.
How many asked like
Because
how is it
if
being a
yeah, because
Muslim
if
in
you
Israel
stay
is the
away,
ideal situation. It's like
yeah,
you have
because
like yeah.
if you stay away from extremism, if you stay away from too much religious bigotry, if you are into coexistence, if you are into secularism, if you are into respecting democratic values, freedom of expression, speech, and respect, all these things, India is the best place. India is the heaven for the Muslims. That's what I'm saying. Even now, it is like that. And then they are trying to make it into a caliphate by 2047, and that's the reason why their ass is getting kicked off like this. There's no other
Yeah.
go. They are literally ruining the lives of the Muslims here first. Forget about the Hindus and other people. They
Yes,
are,
this is something I'm trying to say. Like the first victims are always
yeah,
those who are inside those communities. They're the
that's it.
first ones to suffer.
They never realize
Um,
this. The Muslims are never realizing this.
yeah,
India is such a beautiful, such a the most beautiful place for the Muslims. Nowhere you will find this kind of an acceptance and the kind of facilities that they get here, or in every manner. You are free to live here. You
yeah.
can even become the prime minister of this country. Who is stopping you? No one is stopping
I
you.
mean,
You can rule India.
yeah, all those who are voting and have brains. What do you mean? Who's
Yeah,
stopping?
but still they chose to stay away from the voting system, saying that it is haram. That is Jamaat Islami did
Oh,
here in the past.
really?
That's the kind of religion that they are carrying in the past. Now they have transformed. I would say that I would agree to that. Now they say that okay, it's okay to participate in elections. It is
Mm-hmm.
not a haram anymore. Democracy is okay for us. It is not haram anymore.
Uh,
The legal system in India, that is okay for us. It is not a haram anymore. They have transformed. They are forced to transform because the majority people here, they are giving them a chance. So
yeah.
that's the major thing. But even when I say this, there is a looming threat which is underway. That is the change in the demographics, where the number of the Muslims are increasing day by day. So that's one
Mm-hmm.
of the threat the people are now talking too much about. Like India may become a problem in the future by this change of demographics. Too much Muslims, so we are all always called as a minority. Muslims are not a minority in India. We are the second largest group in India. It's close to 25%.
Oh.
How can you call a group of people who are 25% as a minority? If you are calling someone as a minority, you have even groups of people, communities which are not even 1%. So they are the real minorities. So who are talking about them? Nobody's talking about them. If you look at the atheists living here, they are the real minority,
Mm-hmm.
and they are getting persecuted by all these religions except the Hindus. so so who will talk for who will speak up for the atheists or the non-religious people? No one. So now we are trying to represent ourselves into the ministry by some communication towards accepting this as a possible option in the future demographics, like including non-religious as a part of this the national census.
Mm.
So in the next census and all, we can expect a new item called non-religious,
Yeah.
atheist. These all things will be there. Yeah.
Diablo del Fuego, Baharatias have been fighting
Bharadiyas. Yeah.
is what? How do you say?
Bharadiyas. Bharadiya. Bharat. We
Baradias?
call India Bharat. Another
Baharadia.
name.
Yeah, Baharat, I heard that, but
Yeah.
Baharadias have been fighting Islamism for the past 800 years. These
Mm.
Westerners only kind of woke up to it after September 11th. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, that's a
Uh,
statement.
You should
uh,
read the stories of Guru Tag
mm,
Bahadur, Shambhaji Maharaj, etc.
this
Yeah,
fighting
yeah.
Islamism for the past 800 years, when you say that, you have two aspects to that. Okay, one aspect is an expansion of an Islamic empire. That's one aspect. Okay,
Mm.
and expanding an empire itself is not the problem, because you can see the Romans expanding their empire. Many We have many people expanding their empire, and for that they have conquered and they have plundered and they have done all these nasty things to the places that they expand. But the problem comes in when they forcefully convert the people, forcefully damages their religious worshipping sites and do all these things. That's the second aspect into that. So when you come to the Mughals and the kind of Islamic rulers which who ruled our country or this region for centuries altogether, you can see both of this happening. Among them, the most notorious one is the Aurangzeb, who is the most mentioned name, who is known for the executions, who is known for the forceful conversions and all these nasty things. So,
Yeah.
among all the rulers, some are just expanding as an empire, and some they do the things just any king will do. But some of them were too much into religion, just like we have the extremists in Islam or among the
Hmm.
Muslims, among the
Those who actually
kings.
believe in it, that's the extremism.
Yeah, so there were some kings who were extremists, and they were into this kind of too much conversion and all these problems, which was mainly caused on to uh, the Hindu believers and other people like that. And that's one reason now the whole of the Mughals or the whole of the people will despise about. And when you look at the way the one ruler called Akbar is a ruler in India, and he's one of the rulers who came up with a new religion, and that religion was Deen Ilahi. So he was against the extreme versions of what you see in Islam, and he wanted an inclusive religion, just like Hinduism was. So he brought this new religion, and he was not accepted by the Muslims.
No. Yeah.
So when you say about the extremists, you can also mention about Akbar, who was against such things most of the time, at least in his later part. He came with a Deen Ilahi, and he was trying to do something different. So we have people like that. So, but of
Is
course,
it
to a part,
possible, do you think? Is it genuine? Can
he
you
was
really?
genuine. He was genuine, but the problem is he was not accepted. Who will accept? You cannot change Islam that way. It's not
Right,
easy.
like
Even
this is what I'm saying. Is there is
yeah,
no genuine way of changing
that's it.
Islam, right? Like
Mm.
if you read it, it's like there is no two interpretations almost. It's like
Yes, this is an important question. Coalition between Muslims and the communists, both in Kerala and the West.
yeah.
uh,
And
See,
Nandish Hedge. Thanks for
obviously
the
there is a
question.
yeah, there's a coalition like this, and this coalition boiled down into a state where they even tried, or they were accepting the kind of extremism these Islamists were trying to do in our state, and they were in a very good relation, I would say, a better relation with this PFI, SDPI, these kind of parties, which were extreme Islamists, and they were having that kind of a relation, and that was creating much of the problems, and even
But
some
you
of
were
the
too, right? Are both ex-Muslim and ex-communist.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the Communist Party here, they were thinking that to side by the Muslims, to talk for them, to speak for them, especially when this Hamas issue that came in, the communists here, they were aligning with the Hamas. And they were even, some of the leaders among them, they were even saying that even though Hamas did the all those atrocities during October 7th, it is justified. This is a statement that they were saying.
Yeah.
Okay, because it is in the name of a freedom fight or in the name of a resistance, so it is justified. This is the way they normalize, so they legitimize terrorism.
Hmm.
So it is affecting in two ways. Mostly the members within the Communist Party, the LDF we call it, they are realizing why the hell we want to support an extremist group like or a terrorist group like Hamas. Take for example. So they are having that kind of a rethinking, and they are now
Oh,
moving out.
you think so?
They are
So it's
now
gonna
moving
break
out.
down.
Yeah, it's already broken down. In the recent election, they were zero, literally zero.
Amen. Well,
Yeah,
everywhere in the world.
yeah. So that's happening. So that's why in the beginning also we were mentioning about how this right wing is gaining popularity and they were gaining even power. So that's what is happening here.
So
Yeah.
I don't know how to read that, but
Arif safe in India being openly ex-Muslim. Uh, I'm safe in my place. I won't say it is safe to be an ex-Muslim in India, to be honest.
you sleep
In
with
my
the
state, in my place, in
like
my
this.
state, I'm safe
No,
to an extent, not 100%.
you don't sleep like that. You know,
No, no, no.
if somebody opens the door, you
gun,
go
gun is not allowed
automatically.
here.
No, okay.
Yeah, gun is not allowed here. In that way,
Hmm.
not that popular as we see in the US. Maybe even I was asked to carry one by one of the experts here. So I tried applying for one. So I'm
Mm.
still holding on to that. Like maybe in the future, I
Is it
may
from the
get one.
state or you're the country? Now we know that the state is not untrustworthy. You have to go straight to the country to ask for weapons, right?
No, no, no. It's what I'm trying to say is why I'm safe in the state, not in the country. The country, the central government is not having any particular policy to safeguard freedom of
Mm-hmm.
expression of an ex-Muslim. There's no such a
Mm.
policy. We have seen the YouTube channels and the posts that we make and all such things getting banned, shadow banned in our country. Some of the channels which was recently deleted and banned were all belonging to these ex-Muslims. So there's no such a policy to protect the voice of an ex-Muslim in India. There's nothing like that. Okay, that's the first part. Now the second part, to live freely and to expose yourself like this. Why this happens in my state is one thing is that I speak in my local language. So if I was talking in Hindi, it's very difficult for me to travel around. And that's the reason why the other ex-Muslims like ex-Muslim Sahil and ex-Muslim Samir, and there are many other people like that who were facing direct this death threats from the public, from the peaceful, the moderate Muslims. They were trying to kill,
Yeah, of
and
course.
yeah. So
No,
they were facing
it's
such things.
moderate Islam when they choose specific targets
Yeah,
because they deserve it. There is some thinking, and it's extreme Islam when they choose targets randomly, whereas
and
like it doesn't
one,
matter and unless as long as you eat something. This is
yeah, and
extreme, and this is not extreme. Of course,
yeah,
it's
they
like
need
because
they,
there is still a little bit of prefrontal cortex where you start when you think about choosing and
okay,
electing like
they need to come to a
your
conclusion first, which is the extreme,
exactly.
who are the
Yeah.
extremes and who are the moderates. They don't even know, because it's like a metamorphosis, a momentary metamorphosis. So they just move like um, uh, touch me not, you know, the plant touch me not,
Yeah.
you know the
Okay.
plant, huh?
The plant. What one?
Yeah, that's a thorny plant, touch me not we call it.
And then.
So the moment you touch it,
Mm-hmm.
it just goes flaccid. Okay, so that's a beautiful plant with flowers and all. It lays open in the sun. The moment you touch it, it just close it and it
Mm.
goes down. So that's the plant.
Yeah.
The moderate Muslims are like that. In the
Oh.
sun, in the out, when you look at them, they are
Oh.
just peace loving and everything. The
Yeah.
moment you touch their prophet, they go flaccid into the state of an extremist and they start running behind you, chasing you
It's
down. Sartan se juda. This is the kind of slogan that they raise here. Sartan se juda. Gustakh nabi ek hi saza. This is the words that they use. So whoever blasphemes against prophet has only one punishment. Sartan se juda, sartan se juda. cut his throat, like remove his head,
I
behead
love
him.
it.
That's
How
the
can you not love
first.
Islam? It's amazing.
Yeah, so much
So
poetic.
much, like it sounds so nice, like so poetic, like, like
Yeah,
it almost rhymes. I don't know. It's like
rhymes over over and over.
yeah, yeah. That's the
You,
important part, isn't it? Like,
yeah. So
yeah, so
that's the,
exotic.
yes. So, so that's the beauty,
Yeah.
and Muslims never realize this. This is what Islam teaches. When you say that it's a rule in Islam to kill the apostate, Muslims will say no. There's no such a rule. I still remember I myself quarreling with my sister on this, killing
I
apostate.
mean, but she has a half a brain, so she wouldn't know.
Yeah, I used to say this those days.
Yeah. What was
You
she
are not,
saying?
she was saying just like any other Muslim. No,
Ah,
it's
that
not.
there is. Oh.
Islam is not like that. Islam never teaches
See,
killing
this is the
apostate.
proof. You see,
Yeah.
women have only half a brain. This is the proof. His sister said that there is no apostasy killing in Islam. Oh, this is the proof. Allah is great. Allahu Akbar. Yeah. Alhamdulillah.
Allahu Akbar.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So, contractor thinks Indian 1970 model is being implemented on the West. What is India 1970 model then?
Indian 9070 model. Um, I don't exactly get what happened in 1970. Are you referring to the India Pakistan war or something? Okay.
I don't know. I'm not the comment. Like I'm not the one who wrote
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Jax, thanks for your donation. Listening via headphones. Thank you for the interesting conversation. I'm just popping
Thanks,
in
Jax.
to support back to the youngs. Thank you, Jax.
Thanks, Jax.
Explorer gives
Keep
his
supporting.
first super chat. Thank you.
Hmm.
This is another one. Thank you, Artomant
Art,
R. Thank you.
Artomant.
Yeah, that's
These
his
are Jewish
20.
names?
Ah,
Artomant? No.
no.
Hebrew? No.
No,
Okay.
I would have known how to read it. Here is another one from him. Thank you for the super chat. Arif, do you know the
Uh-huh.
history? What?
History of Muhammadin al-Qassam Islam attacking the. Are you referring to Ghazwa Hind? Uh, are you referring to that? Ghazwa Hind, the conquest of India, which is a goal or which is a dream that is mentioned in the hadith, which says about uh, there will come a day when India is conquered.
Oh, you have a
So
hadith too? Oh, for
yeah,
you guys as well? Oh, that's amazing.
high five.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
E-
amazing. Oh my
we are
God.
we are
The
equally
had
doomed.
Yeah, the Doom Hadith Club. We should open a Doom Hadith Club. To all of us who are doomed,
It's so
let's
good to
open a
have
club.
a doom friend.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Okay.
amazing.
And when we say about this Ghazwa Hind, um, even the liberals or the what do you say, the folks here, they think that that's a hoax. That is not true.
Why can't they
Yeah.
read?
They never read. They just read what they want. That's a problem.
Oh,
So they never know how a Muslim leads their Islamic life. So they always depend upon the hadiths, the Islamic teachings, the fatwas, and all other things.
right.
So it is clearly mentioned in the hadiths that this Ghazwa Hind, the conquest of India, is going to happen in the future, and those people who will be a part of this Ghazwa Hind, that is conquest of India, will get a chance to, or will be ensured with the heaven. That's what is mentioned. So
Oh, so you get okay, so you get heaven for killing Jews, which
yeah,
is the best way to get heaven, and for conquering India.
India, yeah.
Ah, amazing.
And conquering India is the what you say, the exit plan, or the simplest plan for anyone around anywhere around the world. If any Muslim who just want to uh, get into the heaven, just head to India, conquer us, you will be into the heaven. And in the hadith it's mentioned as a part of two options. The first option is to fight along with the what do you say, Mahdi, Imam Mahdi. He comes back and you can fight along with him.
Hmm.
That's one option to get into the heaven. And the second option is to take part in the conquest of India. So
Amazing.
two good options. You can choose which one you want.
I mean, if you're a Muslim in India, maybe it's easier to do the Indian thing, and if you're in the, Arab region, then it's easier to focus on the Jews. It's amazing, amazing. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a chance for the Jews to take a breath
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
moment when they go for the conquest of India.
I mean, there are so many of them now; they can split between us. That's the
Muslims gravitate towards symbols like Osama or Hafiz Saeed more than someone like APJ Abdul Kalam, Bir Abdul Hamid, or Professor KK Muhammad, General Said Atta Hussein, etc. Why South Asian Muslims hate their Hindu ancestors? Okay. The problem with the Muslims are one of the biggest problems is that we don't have real nation builders whom they take as a real political leader. So one of the leaders that they had was Muhammad Ali Jinnah during the before the independence. And towards the end, what happened was Jinnah just transformed into a religious figure. He was an atheist. He was a non-practicing Muslim, Muhammad Ali Jinnah. But at the end of the
like all
day,
the scientists that they claim were Muslims.
yeah, he was pro-Pakistan for the partition at the end. So he even just started talking like a religious leader at the end. So if you take the Indian history, you can find a lot of people like Ambedkar. If you take a single person from Indian history whom you can really um, keep up your pride is Ambedkar. Ambedkar was a true nationalist, or a person who really believed that India has a future in that way. And he was the mastermind behind the Indian Constitution, who was instrumental in shaping that. He never talked on religion, not even Hindu religion. He always talked about things like improving the lives of the people, improving the lives of the downtrodden, the Dalits, and giving them more chance to represent the country and all. So he shaped this. And when it came to the Hindu code, the equal rights for the Hindu people, he was the person behind this uniform civil code for a Hindu culture or a Hindu religion. And since it was able to be passed, not in a single form as a Hindu code, but multiple pieces, like the Hindus are now enjoying a better life in India. But such a uniform code was not made available for the Muslims. Why? Because Muslims always wanted to protect their religious rights. They always talked about the religion. They always wanted to protect the Sharia. They always wanted to live separately, devoid of all the secular rules and regulations like these. So that made the lives of the Muslims miserable, especially the women. So that's the difference. So if you take a Muslim leader, he always stands for the religion. If you take a Hindu leader, he stands for secular values, democratic values, and these kind of modern things. Okay, it's not something related to the religion, at least not in the first place. Maybe underlying, or even as the maybe in its deeper layers, you might find some reason for that rule in the Hindu text or somewhere inside. But at the forefront, in its first appearance, it is secular, it is democratic. But when you look at a religious rule or a rule which is pertaining to the Muslims, in its first appearance itself, it is Islamic. It is anti-secular. It is anti-democratic. It is anti-freedom of speech. It is anti-women. All things like that. So no Muslim leader was talking for the Muslims in that way. And when you look at the people like APJ Abdul Kalam and Abdul Hamid, or these people, for example, APJ Abdul Kalam, he was the top scientist who was one of the key persons who was um, behind the kind of warfare that we talk about, the missile systems and all things India boasts about today. He was the person behind. But when he died, he was not considered as a true Muslim.
Mm.
That's the problem among the Muslims. So for a Muslim, if he has to be considered as a Muslim, the only criteria that they look for is not the contributions that they give to the country or to the community, uh, or any these kind of things. What they look for is whether he was a true Muslim or not, whether he prayed 5 times or not, whether he observed the Ramzan fast, whether he did a Hajj, whether he used to give the zakat. These are the things they are looking for. And
Mm-hmm.
whether he used to at least cite some of the verses in the Quran. APJ Abdul Kalam, he was a scientist. He never talked about Quran. He never talked about, or he never recited any of these verses in the Quran, or he never prayed 5 times. He never went for these things, or he was just living a life the same way that I was talking to you about my grandmother, uh, my mother, before exposed to getting exposed to Islam. So he
Yeah.
was such a person, and he was not considered as a true Muslim. And
I mean, if you
and
look at Islam
yeah,
as what it really is, which is a religion, that makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
yeah. So Indian Muslims direly need a true leader in them, among them, who speaks about moral values and secular values and democratic values without mentioning about the religion. That's the most important uh, aspect that the Indian Muslims are facing today. They have never
Doesn't that mean that
faced
they
such a
will
leader.
stop being Muslim, though?
No, never. How come? It's not affecting their faith. It's not affecting how they are praying. They are, whether they are sent to the Hajj or they are paying the zakat. It's not affecting their faith. It's not affecting the 5 pillars, but it affects some of the rules and regulations. Like
Just
if it is discriminatory against women, that will be getting affected. And Muslims need to learn, if something is there in their religion which is discriminatory, you have to go beyond that. Muslims are never taught that way, but Hindus are given such a chance. The Hindus, when I say Hindus are having an inclusive way of seeing things, that doesn't mean that their scriptures are so well laid or they are all foolproof and they are devoid of any errors. No, they have their own errors and their own problems, but they are keen to look for that, and they are ready to go beyond that.
why? What do you think
They
is
are
the
ready to.
difference?
They are ready to go. Sorry.
What do you think is the difference between why Muslims cannot do? Because to me it sounds like the
Yeah.
problem is that Islam has also, it's like you try to separate the ceremonial Islam
Mm,
or the Hajj, the Tzedakah, the Ramadan, the
mm.
Shahada, and uh, the you know okay, if you try to sell, but you completely, you say like, okay, keep that and take and like change like take away the moral value, like the moral system away. Is
So
it
I'll
still
explain.
Islam in your
It's
eyes?
in fact it is easy. See, in India, Muslims are following a common criminal code. Okay, in Islam, they have a Sharia criminal code where you find people getting chopped off their hands, their heads, and paying hefty fines, and everything is so different. You can look at the way the criminal procedures are carried out in the Arabic countries, the Islamic countries in the Middle East. But you are not seeing that in India. India, we have a different criminal code. So how these Muslims are living such a criminal code? It's not approved in Islam to live that way. So if you are able to live in a country following a different criminal code which is separate from Islam and which is not in any way related to Islam, and still you are okay with that, why not? The civil codes are not to be Islamic. Why you are not able to follow a common civil
Oh,
code? This is what I'm asking.
Okay, so don't you think it's a kind of ridiculous that to say that, okay, if you pray 5 times a day, like, why is it worth fighting for?
It's not affecting their religious practices. It is affecting
Why
the,
are the religious practices even that, like, why
because
is that
that's
enough of
not bound by,
motivation? Is that
no, no,
enough of motivation
no.
for it?
We need to separate uh, the religious practices, like their rituals, from the civil and other rights, social rights. Okay, civil rights, the human rights, these things are common to every human being. It's not, it's not to be discriminated on the basis of religion or on the basis of their faith. That's what I'm saying. But you are free to practice whatever things that you want. But when it comes to the civil rights and human rights, you have to observe a common set of rules which ensures happiness, which ensures uh, a there is no discrimination among the people. There's no discrimination among men and women, no upper caste, lower caste. So these are the ideals which we put forward, and it is there everywhere. We talk about the racial discrimination, that is the whites and the blacks. Why we talk about that? Because that's a kind of discrimination that was existing here, and we are still trying to get over that, and we know that's a very bad thing to talk
But
about
is
and
it
to.
how ingrained is that into Hinduism? Because in Islam, it's like you have to burn the whole Quran to make what you're saying happen. You have to burn it and only live like the I don't know, the
No,
Surah Al-Fatiha to pray. That's it. Like like
in
what's
Islam,
left?
yeah, in Islam, the basic level of discrimination happens in two things. One is between the men and women. That's one of the basic discrimination, and the second one is between believers and non-believers, or the mu'mins and the kafir. So these are the two levels of discrimination. And earlier we used to have this slavery, the free and the slaves. That was also there. But now we have gone beyond that, like by abolishing the slavery and other things. But still we
Oh,
have it
it
in some
still
other forms.
exists.
Yeah, we have it. But in India we don't have
I
that kind of
mean,
slavery
because you're
system.
not Muslim. It's not a Muslim
Yeah,
country. Did you forget?
not Muslims, and we have a system, a legal system which prohibits this slavery. If you find somewhere you are doing that, you will be prosecuted,
Mm.
and that prosecution is made possible because we have a legal, a criminal system which is non-Islamic. That's what I'm saying. Okay, it's
So what's left?
so in some of the civil areas there are some Islamic rules which is left, which they are left to observe even in their civil rights. And that's some of the areas where Muslim women are suffering the most, like the property right, the marriage, the divorce, then the adoption, and these are the areas. So in these areas,
But
people are
okay,
getting affected.
but you said it yourself. Like, I feel like you're contradicting yourself now because you said if you know what Islam is, you're either you blow yourself up or you're becoming an ex-Muslim.
Okay.
You said it yourself. Like everything you just said right now contradicts being Muslim.
I'm saying people are following this not by knowing this. Okay, this is the rule. So you just imagine a Muslim man and a Muslim woman getting married. They
So
can
why
marry
would they follow it? Like,
because
why
that is
would
the
they
rule.
continue doing that?
Because
Why?
you need to legalize your marriage in any country, in any place, right?
No, I don't mean that. I mean, why would you
Ah,
pray 5 times a day without like ever touching the Quran? Because the Quran is dangerous in every way.
see, you need to
Like, how
understand
do
how
you have that? Like, you said it
because
yourself and then you contradict yourself because you say you
no,
can
no, no,
continue being Muslim.
no. Praying, we have, if you can understand this way, that is a life of a Muslim that happens in 5 stages. Okay, in these 5 stages, observing namaz or these prayers, the 5 pillars, going behind this halal meat, saying salam, all these things are the basics. Okay, you learn this from the madrasas, from the basic madrasas classes. So for a Muslim to live in a country, these are the simple basic things that they just need to know. That itself makes them a Muslim, a namesake Muslim, you can call them. Okay. And when you advance further in this level, that is towards the third stage, fourth stage, and fifth stage, these are the stages which make you an extremist Muslim. Okay. So I escaped from this Islam when I was close to this fourth stage. That's what I'm saying. And this fourth stage of Islam is where you start thinking against democracy, you start thinking against secularism, and you dream about having an Islamic state in India. This is the stage when you can call yourself, and you are obsessed with Arabic language. Instead of using your common local language, you always try to use Arabic, because this is the kind of uh, Islam, or the way that you are trying to put forward. So when it comes to the final stage, that is the extreme version, and that you can call, if you list out the features of the fifth stage of an Islam or a Muslim, that you can find similarities with what ISIS is doing, what Taliban is doing. That is the difference. So beginning from just observing the five pillars, Hajj and Namaz and other things, and to having a anti-democratic, anti-secular, and Islamic state, that is very different. To get into that area, you need a, a structured kind of education, a structured kind of madrasa exposure, which we call as the Dawah influence, Salafi Dawah influence. So if you are away from this Salafi Dawah influence, you are safe in not to getting into this third stage or fourth stage of Islam, where you are safe from becoming an extremist. Otherwise, you can just stay as a moderate Muslim. That's the area where you can call. And I prefer not to call them as moderate Muslims. I prefer to call them as ignorant Muslims. They don't know about what Islam is. They
Yeah.
just know something about the rituals and other things. They just live by that. That's it. So that's the ignorant version of Muslim. And when it comes to this civil rights, uh, forget about being a Muslim. You are an individual living in India, and you are a Hindu, and you decide to get married. So officially, you need to register your marriage in India. Any country, that's the rule. So for that, the marriage to get registered, you have a system, a legal system, where you have to approach them and you apply, and there's a rule under which your marriage will be registered. So that's how it is now filed in the register. And when you do that, you have certain rules, and you can take out multiple rules. And one of the main features of that would be like, if you are registering for a marriage, there shouldn't be an evidence that you are having another wife presently. Okay,
Yeah,
so
there's
that's the normal rule here. Now, when it comes to Muslim, even though he is not a true Muslim, or he is an ignorant Muslim, and he decides to get married, and when he goes to get his marriage registered, his marriage is getting registered using a personal law, a religious law. It is not the Hindu law, or the law which is a Hindu is following. And under that, there's no such a clause that when you are registering, it is not necessary that you shouldn't have a wife before. You can register this marriage even if you have another wife, because for a Muslim you can have up to 4 wives.
that
That's
should
the
be
rule.
illegal if you ask me.
Yeah.
Like,
And I'm asking you to do this, to observe this civil right or rule, or this personal rule. Is it necessary to know the Islamic rule? No.
oh no, I think Islam, like that's the thing, right? The
Yes,
the
this is
the
not
only
necessary.
thing we disagree with, right, is whether a person who doesn't know what Islam means can be a Muslim. That's where we disagree. Because
Yes.
we both say this is like this must happen. Like they should not know what Islam is.
In fact, the legal system is teaching, or is taking the position of a madrasa teacher in 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 letting this Muslim know that, oh, so I can marry four, even even with a present wife. Okay, that's cool. So just imagine a Muslim man is not aware of this four wife rule in Islam. Just imagine, and he decides to get married, and he goes for this, and he reads the clause. He can find the, okay, I can marry four times.
Hmm.
So that's the
Okay, I'm
difference.
convinced now. We need to burn Islam completely. Like there is no compromise. Like you just convinced me that there is
Uh,
no such thing. There is no such thing. Like there is no a little bit
such
of Islam. There you cannot
uh,
be a benign Muslim. That cannot happen.
I didn't get you. Come again.
Hmm?
Come
What?
again.
I'm
I didn't
said
get you.
I said I'm convinced now
Ah,
that there is no such thing.
mm,
That's it. Like the Islam cannot be. Like that's the only. Like
okay,
from everything you said, I've convinced that no, there is actually no, like no
okay.
way.
Islam
Anyway,
can be
share.
defeated.
Yeah, Islam has to be defeated and
Yeah.
completely abolished. Completely. Like that's the
Yes.
way. Like that's my conclusion. Because even if a little bit,
Mm,
just like you said, like when you once you hear, and the reason I say that, like the most problematic thing with Islam, with the treatises with the woman, you don't
mm,
know that because you are a second generation Muslim. There, but your mother gave birth to you and your father not really being Muslims, and the difference that it makes. Because a lot of people ask, like, how come there was? I just saw this discussion with an Israeli security expert. He said, I
mhm.
cannot understand in a life of me how come that a mother that was just informed that her son had died as a shaheed turns
Mm.
around to her second son and says, Inshallah, you are next.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
this is where it, like the four wives, the half a brain, women
Yeah.
don't love their children in Islam because they are all made without love because
Yeah.
those children are being forced on them and they don't love them. And that is
See.
the long-term effect of it. And
Mm,
this is why there is no compromise when it comes
yeah.
to Islam.
Well, I have a plan how to defeat Islam. You cannot
Mm.
burn the Quran and defeat Islam.
No,
You
of
cannot.
course not.
Yeah. You cannot transform
I,
the believers
I
in.
don't believe in that at all because I think
Yeah.
it's educational. And not only that, you
Mm.
have to, like when you are an adult, you have to read Mein Kampf and the Quran to understand human nature.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you need to really expose what Islam is, the only way out or how to help people out of Islam is by making it public. Do the things that we are doing. That is public shaming of Islam. This is what is required.
Yes.
You just keep on telling all this BS present in Islam over and over, and give a chance for the Muslims to know all these things. And this is the only way by which, or this is the most effective way by which every Muslim will get a chance to have a second thought on this, and they can easily come out of that. Otherwise, if you try to transform the book or to delete some of the verses, or if you try to do something with the believers like the China is doing, that's not going to work. That will
No.
just give them more chances to rise from the ashes and do all these nasty things in the name of resistance. So that's making the things worse. That's what I would say. So just give the options for this free speech against Islam. Just openly criticize it. See, I
Hmm.
had a word with one of the Hindu extremists who is in our place. Okay. So he called me once for some other reason, for discussing some Facebook post or so. I just shared some of the post which was criticizing them. So he called me up, and he was talking to me in a way that uh, he know me through the posts and the videos that I make. So he knew that an ex-Muslim and I criticize Islam. And at the same time, he was asking me. He introduced himself to me as I'm a Hindu terrorist. This is what he told me. Okay, so I was just laughing at him. Oh, so I'm talking to Hindu terrorists. I'm so obliged to be with you. So he was asking me, like, See, Arif, what should we do to defend the growth of Islamism in our place? We are not able to find a solution to beat this rise of extremism in Islam and the all these things. And they are offended by the way the people are opposing any criticism made on Islam, and at the same time they promote the criticism on Hinduism. This is the most problematic thing that they are seeing in our place. So they asked me what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I told him the only way by which you can stop this is by opening up free speech. You just remove the blasphemy laws in India. We have some of the rules like that, 295A and all, which
Wow.
helps in some of the people utilizing that, and they just try to stop. Gag orders are placed on the basis of that. So just abolish such things and make it a normal thing to criticize religion, including Hinduism. So when people start criticizing Islam, and it gives a chance for other people to learn this without a call for blasphemy and blasphemy laws and this call of what do you say, gustakh nabi. And you can easily say, what's the problem, what's the big deal in this? Everybody is criticizing our gods. Shiva is getting ridiculed, Krishna is getting ridiculed, Rama is getting ridiculed, Brahma is getting ridiculed. We don't have any problem. Then why the hell does Allah have a problem? Just live by it, man. You can say that. So now we don't have such an option here,
Mm-hmm.
though they say that way, but still we have a this blasphemy law. Some people use that, and even Hindu extremists are using that for jailing some of the people. Even from our state, we have some of my friends who got, at least they had to visit a police station to get cleared of that accusation. He was trying to criticize some Ayyappa or some other Hindu deities here. So just remove that. Make it a blasphemy, a human right. Islam will be in trouble because Islam has never faced such a rampant blasphemy attack. The only thing which can defeat Islam is blasphemy. No other thing can defeat Islam. So you just make it public, you just make it popular. The more you do it, the more damage for Islam.
Yeah, 100%. Like I agree. Like the only thing, the another thing is that is important to understand is that if you think it's just Islam that can turn into that way, no, every cult follows what Islam does. So just by narrowing it down and putting a label Islam, it might blind you to other cults that are behaving the same way but are not Muslim. So this is why it's important to have the conversation where it's way
True.
more productive. Shirley Lemoyne, great chat. How should we in the West view the ascendancy of India in the next few decades as a leader in geopolitical
Geopolitical.
affairs, especially with regards to China and the US? I feel like it's a super long question. It's like it deserves a
No,
different video, kind of,
this
no?
this is something very important. Like the ascendancy of India in the next few decades as a leader in geopolitical affairs. Uh, the opposition parties in India and the left wing, they never agree that. Okay, but the people abroad, they are agreeing that. That's the most beautiful part of this. And I appreciate who, I don't know the person personally, and whether I don't know whether he's an Indian or not by the name. Anyway, it
No,
doesn't
it's a
sounds like an Indian.
Canadian dollars.
Canadian, yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah, anyway, so happy to see this. Obviously India is transforming, and a lot
yeah,
of changes are going on in the geopolitical affairs where India is taking some of the biggest positions where it is giving clear indications that we have got certain viewpoints which is neutral in every aspect. Even when
yeah.
it comes to Israel Hamas issue, Palestine issue, we have voted against Israel for this ceasefire. You know that. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, we are supplying some of the military goods for you for the Israel. this, this,
How do you think your counterterrorism works at all in the first place?
no, no.
It-
This is like, see, we are
I'm
standing with
just
the
saying that
civilians.
this is 100% like Israeli training. that was done in it's true though.
Yeah. See, this is something like
Like
we are
Israel
supporting the civilians.
is ingrained in all the security in India
Yeah, you can
stuff.
listen to the external affairs minister who was speaking on this. The
Yeah,
first sentence that he was mentioning was, "We are against Hamas. Hamas is a terrorist organization. We are with the civilians of both the countries." This is the beautiful stance that we are taking. So, if you are concerned about Palestinians, the first thing that you have to do is to eliminate Hamas. No
yeah.
other go. So that's what India is doing.
I
And
think
for
for
eliminating Hamas, we need to support Israel. We should, you know, that one of the shipments from India was not allowed to pass through the Spanish border, so they were stopping us, and that was not sent to uh, forced to divert or something like that. So
yeah.
the Spain as a country was against supporting Israel. So the
Oh,
goods was from India, which was some military equipments or some kind of what do you say, munitions, which was sent from our country, and it was traveling to Israel. So that was stopped. So India's position is something very different, which balances its stance, which doesn't affect the international affairs, and it doesn't affect India's existence. That's how we do it. So even with the uh, Ukraine Russia incident, also we are taking such a thing, such a different aspect. Like India was asked not to take oil from Russia, but we took the oil from Russia. And finally, what happened was all European countries, they were also taking oil from the Russia, and at the same time fighting against Russia. This is what is going on there. So this happens. International relationship is a strange subject where
I
we will
think
be.
India is doing that right now. India is doing the transition from thinking that they are just like, to actually taking leadership positions. And
Yeah,
I think like
than
the
following some.
next, then following. And right now we're
Yeah,
seeing the transition is like right now it's like something in between. But I
yeah.
think like hopefully India would take more and more like will sit down and understand like what like as a leaders, as real leaders,
Definitely.
understand what kind of world that India would want to lead
See,
to
I
towards.
think the stance taken by Israel in this issue is also something related to that, because despite all the arrest warrants and the international court of justice issues and some all multiple countries have come forward, like South Africa going against you, and despite all these things, with the evidence that you have stood by yourself, you have decided to rescue your hostages, and you have a plan for it, like you have a reason for it. And I know I get an understanding of that, and that's one reason I'm standing with that. The same way, when India is facing such a kind of criticism on the basis of the democracy getting eroded, we are persecuting the Muslims and all, we are also seeing the Muslims from Kashmir coming forward and saying, "I am a Kashmiri Muslim and I am not Malala Yousafzai." This is what a Kashmiri Muslim is saying in India. So when you say that Muslims are getting persecuted in India, India is asking, show us an incident where a Muslim is persecuted in India. And we had a very recent a survey which brought about a very different picture, where the minority in India, that is the Muslims, which they call by that name, it has increased 43% from its Independence Day population.
So you're just as bad as we are with genocide. I see we both
Yeah.
suffer from the same problem. We
See,
have to
that's what I'm
talk,
saying.
understand why we both are so inefficient.
See, this is the problem that we see when at the same time you look at the population of the minority of Hindus and Christians in Pakistan, they have gone down. When you look at the population of Hindus and Christians in Bangladesh, that's our neighboring country, they have gone down. So out of all the countries where the minority has gone up is only in India. This is the beautiful aspect. And then even then they are saying India is having genocide against Muslims. This is the most strange argument. And thankfully the people in Kashmir, they are coming forward and they are saying it openly. and they are the majority in that place, Kashmiris, and they are mostly Muslims, and they are saying, okay, we are happy in this part of the country, and
Yeah.
please stop blaming us.
It's
This is
like
what they're
Israeli
saying.
Arabs, where they like the most scary thing is to for them is to be like under a Palestinian state, where like oh this is the
Yeah,
scariest thing.
just imagine if they are asked to go back to Palestine, will they go? Do you think?
No, they don't want to live. Like you ask Israeli
I
Arabs, you ask them, would you rather be under Palestinian government or Israeli government? They all say, no, I like the Israeli government better. Like nobody
I
would
have
want to actually go and live under a Palestinian government.
I have a few friends in Israel who are
Yeah.
Israeli Arab Muslim, and I asked them to come forward and we can have a chat on our YouTube channel and all. They were afraid to do that because their family members are back in West Bank. Some of their
Back in
family
Islam.
members
Oh.
in West Bank.
Back in West Bank. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they cannot come forward and appear in front of the camera and talk about all these things. They have personally told me that they are happy in Israel and they are Muslims, practicing Arab Muslims. Their children are learning outside. They have gone to Europe and doing better, getting better education, and even some of them, their family members are working even in the IDF. This is what they told me. So Arab Muslims living in Israel, that's a reality which majority of the Muslims who are supporting this Hamas, they are unaware of. So they don't know that close to 20% of the Israeli population is Arab Muslims. They they never want to know that. They they choose to get blind over that fact, because if they accept that, they will have to face another question. When you say that river to sea Palestine will be free, are you saying that even these Muslims will be wiped off? So that's the
Yes,
problem.
like I
Anyway.
saw this clip about they're talking about, but it's I love it the way that this. So there was this a great YouTube video that really did an amazing illustration of how the one gay Hamas commenter got his doom eventually for being gay, of course, but that's the like. But the thing is, like they finished the video with talking about the fact, like something about the fact that the Hania family, like they also have like nephews that are in the IDF. So it's a very interesting
Oh,
family reunion when you have one side that is Hamas, the other side is in the IDF.
yeah. Yeah, that's there are certain interesting aspect to this, the whole conflict. um, yeah, we should talk about this more in
Yeah,
our next live or so, specifically for this issue.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's please
So we have a
enlighten
question
us.
here.
Yeah, can you read it?
Discrimination within Muslim community, Ashraf Sen Pasmand. When you talk about this, the Muslims will come and say there's no casteism in Islam. This is what they say. But in Islam, you have this. So we have it's like Ashraf Sen Pasmanda is something that is known in the northern part of India. Like we don't have such a thing in Kerala. We don't use these names, but we have another sex in Kerala, which we call them as the Sayyids. That's the name we use here, and we have this Tangal family. But their priority and the what do you say, the hierarchy is similar. One is the
Mm.
upper caste and the other one is the lower caste. Okay, and there are certain rules as well in this. So when it comes to caste discrimination, and when they say that, oh, Islam is anti-caste, and this was one of the main USPs which was made as a point to convert most of the Dalits in our country to in Islam, to Islam. And after they come to Islam, what they find is they will be called as Dalit Muslims or the
Oh,
Pasmansar or the lower caste Muslims. That's how they were called. So this
people don't
exists
know
here.
it. Like it exists also in Israel. Like it's known, for example, that like
Huh.
Muslims from different cities would not marry each other.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this is the situation. Like when everybody talks about like Palestinians, you guys know what the Palestinian community looks like? Do you know that they will not marry each other because there is a caste system inside.
Yeah, yeah.
Like if
Everywhere
you're
it is there.
from Azarka, then you're like a Muslim that no other Muslim will marry. Like it's like
See, when you say the word caste, then there's a problem because
yeah,
being a person outside India, it's easy for you. Caste means a classification, like
like
you
class
group people.
maybe,
Yeah, class. Yeah, you group
or I
people
don't know.
into different strata, where one is considered as the superior and the other one is considered as the inferior. So if you take that definition, and you come to India, the problem begins because we have another set of caste system which is existing here from the Hindu belief system, part of
Hmm.
that, like the Brahmins and the Shudras and other people, Kshatriyas. These are the some of the castes present here, and um, based on that, we always talk about the discrimination happening over there, and the Dalits getting persecuted, and the upper caste persecuting the lower caste, and these are the problems that we always discuss here in India. So when we talk about the caste in Islam, the biggest problem is that they equate this Hindu caste system, okay, the Varna system or the caste system, whatever they call, with the Islam. And they will say, oh, okay, our caste is not your caste, it is different. So we are not that much problematic. We are, at least, we are this way. You are so problematic. You are uh, uh, very difficult to live with that kind of a thing. You look at the Dalits. So this is the way they equate. So in India, you have different religions and different caste systems. So it's very difficult for them to understand this. My point or our point is that whichever be the religion, if you group people into different class and you discriminate among them, but whatever name that you give to each classes, whether it be superior or whether it be inferior, that itself is the problem. So if you agree that if Ashrafs and Pasmans are, these are the not to be considered as caste, and Islam is anti-caste, then Islam has a bigger problem because Islam classifies the whole of the humanity into two class. One is the believing class, and the second one is the kafir class. That itself is a caste because you discriminate with the kafirs. So what are the discriminations? So if a Muslim has to pay the zakah, the kafir has to pay jizya if you go and attack them. And what is jizya? You give a beautiful name for them, that is a protection tax. In fact, it is a humiliation tax. So the idea of giving this jizya is that you keep on giving jizya until a moment that you feel that it is better to live a dignified life as a Muslim than living this humiliated life of a kafir by giving this jizya. So next
But
day I am going to convert. This is
yeah,
what the
but
idea
once
of
everybody
jizya
is
is.
Muslim, once
Yeah.
everybody is Muslim, the society collapses. No, I'm not kidding. I'm
Yeah,
not kidding.
that's
Collapses and
true.
dies out. Like this
That's
is
true.
because of the way it's built. Like it cannot function and like it goes to extinction. And when I'm saying extinction, is like millions, millions, millions die. Total
That's
collapse.
true. Yeah, that's true. I know that. But what I'm saying is the caste
No, no,
system.
I'm saying
You,
that not for you. I'm saying that for the audience, so they
yeah,
won't
yeah,
be
I got it.
optimistic that once everybody is Muslim, that's it. No, no, no. That's where the fun starts. The moment everybody Muslim, that's when the real genocide starts, and death and everything like
Okay.
that.
So my humble opinion or humble request to all the Muslims who deny that there's no caste in Islam, you have to realize that Islam is casteist, and the biggest, you forget about Ashrafs and Pasmans and the Tangals and all other Sayyids and other Ismaili and many other people are there outside India also. I'm not familiar with the caste systems in the Middle East, but we have in India all these things. And when you say that Islam is anti-caste or casteism is not in Islam, you need to realize that Islam has two big castes. One is the believing caste, and or the caste one as believers, and the caste two as the kafirs. This itself is discriminatory, and you are causing big problem. And you deny equal rights for this kafirs just because they are not believing in your sky daddy and your sky boy. Okay.
Yep. And also again to Vignesh, thank you. Another 20 members. Now everybody's
What has
gonna
you
see
written
all
there?
the uh, gifted.
It's another language.
It's
Okay,
Hebrew.
okay, okay.
Gifted
Thanks,
20.
Vignesh.
yeah, memberships in the in Rebecca's club, like channels club.
Yeah, I hope people are enjoying this, or do they
I
have
think
any
so. They
problem?
do. Okay, I think we should say. I think we can finish here. There is no more
Yeah,
questions. You can stay with me a little bit. I can tell you some stories, and then I
yeah,
mean
yeah,
some,
sure.
like a minute or two, and then you guys
Okay.
and everybody. Good
Stories,
night.
stories
Oh
on live or back channel?
no, no, no! Backstage, secretive
Yeah,
ones.
yeah, sure, sure.
The ones
Done.
that you all
Secrets.
are not gonna know. It's all
Okay. Thank you
between
all.
us. Yeah.
So, thank you, Rebecca, for having this
Such an annoying
wonderful
personality,
conversation. Yeah.
right? I hate when people do it to me. Like I always want to know the secret. Like it drives me crazy if somebody says like there's a secret.
Okay. Thank you.
So it's you
Okay.
know I do what I hate to other people. I'm not
Great.
following my own my own religion here. Well, oh well. Goodbye.
Okay. So, thank you
See
all.
you all.